St. Mary's College Kisubi munnange eri ku muliro yakutte omuliro olunaku lw'ejjo gwatana n'abafulu Speach nze njirina Robert Kyagulanyi Center mu subscribing oli ku LC Africa. Yes, oyinza okuba nga walabye obutundutundu oba vidiyo ng'eno.
Bobi wine son of a drug abuse confirms Headmaster. I thought the moral thing to do was to raise this issue on this platform because this is the ideal platform to raise it.
Obugalo ne buvuga. Naye kakati obanga walabye just tebayita hafu ate kakati ngenda kuba kuleetera full speech. Yes, mu vidiyo eno osobola okuba ng'otegeera kiki kyennyini ekyabaddewo ku Simaaka ku St. Mary's College Kisubi. Kampala Solomon gy'asomera nga gye buvuddeko bano baavaayo ne bateekawo sitole y'amanyi nnyo mu mawulire yawawaza abantu amatulu ne bategeeza nti omukulu Solomon Kampala yasobodde okuba nga akwatibwa n'akayaga mu kesi ye ku ssomero era n'aweebwayo ekibonerezo kye bayita suspension weeks nga 3 nga tali ku ssomero. Omukulu yasobodde okuba nga alumba essomero ate mu PTA gye bayita Parents and Teachers meeting n'abasabula n'abaanika n'abateeka wali essomero eryatandika mu 1906 omusajja katona aliyiwa ekigali teke wansi Robert Kyagulanyi Center oli bwakwata ku muzindaalo muganda wange ate nga wamunyiziza obanga woli obanga olina woli oba olina kwekweka wansi w'emmeeza. Headmaster Deo, yes, aliganyira tugenda kuba tumukuwako details osobola okutegeera Deo aliganyira yani brother Deo yani ebyafaayo bwe ngenda bikuwa nga speech ewedde osobola okuba ng'otegeera omusajja ono kikennyo yani. Yes, Robert Kyagulanyi Center abooluganda nze sijja bbalwisaayo.
Kyagulanyi Solomon Kampala who has been a student in senior 1 and is in senior 4. I am not an OB of this school, but my grandfather is an OB and my father is an OB of this school. Mr. Chairman and fellow parents, I'll be very brief. My two issues, one is on discipline and another is on equality. Now, I'm very glad that Mr. Headmaster mentioned it in his opening remarks that we must speak, and therefore speak I will. And second, I want to thank the chairperson of I'm not an OB of this school, but my grandfather is an OB and my father is an OB of this school. Mr. Chairman and fellow parents, I'll be very brief. My two issues, one is on discipline and another is on equality. Now, I'm very glad that Mr. Headmaster mentioned it in his opening remarks that we must speak, and therefore speak I will. And second, I want to thank the chairperson of Sinakoba, who mentioned that discipline does not only relate to students, it relates to we, the parents, and indeed to you, the teachers and the administration. Mr. Chairman and fellow parents, on the 21st of last month, we woke up to disturbing news. The headline was, SMAC suspends Bobi wine son over drug abuse, confirms Headmaster. Now this was in Nile Post, it was in Galaxy News, it was in Spire News, it was even in Daily Monitor. And they were quoting you, Mr. Headmaster, having given an interview to the extent that my son was caught with drugs in the school. As a parent, it was very depressing, and I believe to fellow parents, it was very disturbing. I thought, much as I have access to the media, I thought the moral thing to do was to raise this issue on this platform because this is the ideal platform to raise it. I will mention that for all the years my child has been a student here, I have never attended or even addressed the AGM because I was always politely requested not to attend in order not to cause what they call unnecessary attention. I thought it important because like every other parent, I love my child and I want to protect my child, even protect him from himself. Mr. Headmaster and our fellow parents, to take us a little back, allow me to lay these facts bare. That young man had been reporting to me a pattern of segregation and targeting on him. as you all parents know, sometimes children lie. So I did not give the young man attention. We raise our children to be leaders, and so my young man always hoped to stand for an elected position in his school. But this one day when he came back home crying for the holiday and told me that he could not run for a prefectorial post in his school because the headmaster had blocked him for running for an election, it was disturbing. Now, when all this issue came up, I have spoken to my son somehow and informed me that as the pattern has been going on, this time he had been set up and drugs had been put in his unlocked suitcase and under his bed. I did not believe it at first. Not that I believe it now, but because I want answers and I believe all other parents I want answers. So I was summoned for a meeting with the headmaster and the team from the school. We sat. I took this opportunity to raise all these matters to you, Mr. Headmaster. Of course, I requested that this security remains in the headmaster's office. I'm only raising this because it was apparently brought to the media by the headmaster. I brought the matter of my son being blocked against running, and these are the reasons I was given, and I want to quote you, Mr. Headmaster. The first reason, Mr. Headmaster, he told me that for a child to be a leader in this school, a child must be an A student, not an average student like my son. That was you, Mr. Headmaster. The second reason I was given for my son not running for leadership in this school is that students that are overly popular are not allowed to run for office in this school because they will pose an unfair advantage to their contemporaries. Now that was disturbing. However, that was not the reason why I had come for that meeting. The reason why I had come for that meeting is because I had been informed by you, Mr. Headmaster, that my child had been found with drugs in the school. And yes, I mentioned it to you, Mr. Headmaster, that when I asked the young man and those around him, he informed me that he would be ready to take all the responsibility and repercussion. But he mentioned one important thing. He told me that the dormitory is filled with CCTV cameras all over. So he challenged the disciplinary committee, Mr. Headmaster, that if they provided the footage of that CCTV camera, he was ready to take every kind of punishment. Incidentally, when the school administration checked the camera had been cut the day before. Mr. Headmaster, I raised that to you, and I said the same thing, but you told me cameras every time they go faulty. So on that day, they were faulty. This is a school camera, Mr. Headmaster. It was very disturbing as a parent. We discussed because I am very respectful of this school. This school that I didn't get opportunity to study in, I wanted my son to study in with a comfortable state of mind. So, we discussed, we went into an understanding. Mr. Headmaster, it was your submission in that meeting on the 31st of January this year that yes, you did not have any fact to expel. If you could allow me, it was your submission, Mr. Headmaster, in my presence, in the presence of my wife, and in the presence of one of the school lawyers and yourself and the deputy headmaster, that indeed you did not have any fact that that boy was not being set up. However, you requested us to understand and agree on a middle ground. You requested us to agree with the suspension because apparently there were other children that were caught in some crime and they were being suspended. So if my son was not being suspended, it would seem as if there's double standards. So you requested us to agree to a suspension, even when there was no core fact. I insisted, but my wife convinced me. In effect, the young man was neither guilty nor innocent, according to you. He was there in between. We agreed to that for the good of the school and for the good of the matter not going up there. It felt very unfair, Mr. Headmaster, but because I respect the school and I love it and my son is in love with the school, I agreed to that. It was therefore very unfortunate to see that after those 2 weeks, even when that young man was innocent for as far as evidence is concerned, it was quoted that the headmaster of SMART gave an interview confirming that my son was found with drugs. That was damaging to the future of my son. It was damaging to my personality, and it was damaging to my family. These are my questions, Mr. Headmaster and fellow parents. If a school like SMART cannot investigate such a grave crime like drugs in the school, how do you confirm to us that you are able to investigate something more serious? What if a fire catches this school? How are you going to explain to us as parents? Number 2, if a young man can be hounded and taunted by a headmaster because there are reports of constant taunting from the headmaster on assembly, in chapel, and personally, and a few teachers and parents can attest to that. I will also mention that some teachers were apparently expelled for being close to that young man. I am informed that my son is psychologically tortured because many of the teachers fear to be seen near him for fear of the wrath of the headmaster. So, my question, Mr. Headmaster and fellow parents, is where is a parent supposed to raise these matters? We agree with you, Mr. Headmaster, not to raise these matters in the media because it would be immoral of us. I brought my son here because this is a church-based school. I am a Catholic. Like I mentioned, my grandfather and my father was here, and it's my pride that my son is here. We want answers on my behalf, and answers of the many disturbed parents that saw this. And if so, it will be only moral to get an apology from you, Mr. Headmaster. I thank you.
Emisumali bwegitebwe gyavuze muganda wange gwe akalaba olunaku olwaleero. Yes, tusobodde okuba nga tukyalirako essomero lye bayita SMART munnange ya essomero ly'Abakatuliki eryatandika myaka emingi emikadde nnyo 1906 emabega eyo, era munnange lisobodde okuba nga lisomesa abanene bangi nnyo okuli ne Muhoozi Kayine Rugaba nga yawaayo ne miliyoni 5 donation emabega ko gye buvudde awo. Omukulu Solomon Kampala gy'abadde asomera kakati yafuna suspension nga bagamba nti omukulu ono alina engeri gye yali afuwetamu akayaga ku ssomero ne bamukwata nako, ate kakati muzadde ne bamuyita Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu atakuma guteeka atanywa guteeka, ne basobola okuba nga bakkiriziganya nti ensonga zino zisigale nga za ssomero. Headmaster ate kakati najja ayita press conference n'abiwa abamawulire Nairobi Post, Galaxy FM ne babisaasanya wano, babisaasanya ne tugamba owa LC Africa eno story katusooke tugyesonyiwe, tusooke tugirine tulabe gye ggwera, kubanga Kyagulanyi is very unpredictable. Osobola okulowooza nti ate n'akusurprisinga ne B. Yes, kakati Headmaster ono yaani? Brother Deo Aliganyira. Deo Aliganyira ono yasobola okuba nga alondebwa ku bwa Headmaster wa SMART gye buvuddeko awo, naye nga kitegeezebwa nti omukulu ono yasooka kubeera ate Headmaster owa St. Edward's Secondary School Bukuumi Ekibaale yeeyo, naye gye yabeerera Headmaster ate yali n'ekisubi eno nga yasomesayoko emyaka mingi nnyo okuva mu myaka egy'olukumi abadde asomesa wano. Omusajja ono yasomerako e London eyo, ate musajja muyivu nnyo mukuukutivu mu bintu by'enjigiriza, naye brother mu Catholic Church. Yes, ate kakati alina engeri gyakwatamu ensonga zino. Kyagulanyi ate engeri ne bitamusanyusa kwegamba n'asobola okuba nga muwala bula olunaku olw'ejjo, era gye yasuze n'olwaleero kyemmanyi tanaba kulyako ku kyenda. Ayinza okuba nga akyalya kikomando yadde nga ne ssente ez'okulya enkoko azirina, kubanga yeetaaga olubuto lubeere nga lunywevu bwa kaseera konna. Omusajja yamuwala budde n'amuteeka wansi, era ebigambo bwe bityo bwe byabadde. We want answers. Yes, yandi bampalana oba kiki oba mateeka, tujja kunoonyerezaako omukulu ono tuwulire naye kiki kyagamba ku saidi eyiye, kubanga twamuwulidde wakati mu speech ng'agamba bannaye bantu abamutwala speed musonyiwe, bannaye Mr. Kyagulanyi ng'omusajja akanya kuwala kata musajja, oluzungu nga luli wali nga lwatabuse dda. Yoyo omulumba omusajja yayimba n'agamba nti olutalo nga weesize emikwano gyomba nkusaasidde yoyo tomugulako olutalo asobola okusirika naye nga lwali kuddamu ojja kukinnyonnyoka okitegeere yoyo brother Dewo aliganyira bw'atyo bwe yabadde olunaku olw'ejjo ekisubi mu Parents and Teachers Association awamu ne meeting bwe bityo bye byatambudde webale okubeera ku LC Africa subscribing amunange yes tukwagala nnyo subscribe waffe mulungi oli wakabyama oli emangi nnyo tujja kuba tugaleeta Anonymous wagwana